squire, big beat, pound wow, rocks around the Billy squire, big beat, pound wow, rocks around the Billy squire, big beat, pound wow, rocks around the Billy squire, big beat, pound wow, big beat.
Ronan, we're just getting our boring conversation out of the way before, work conversation out of the way before we
We were like, oh no, we don't want to run into our interesting conversation. It's like, right, work.
You know what's even worse? I was fully getting into it as well. I feel like I've got into my grumpy old man phase of being like, everything's a bureaucratic mess everywhere. And...
Yeah, it is. It is. I feel like that all the time as well. And then you just sit there and think, if everybody just did their own job, fucking hell, none of this would happen.
Merry Christmas, everybody. I think this might be releasing. I don't know when I'm hoping to edit it all literally tomorrow and then have it up maybe Christmas Eve, but if not, then hopefully Boxing Day.
Yeah.
So not sure that anyone will actually listen to it on those days because it's a busy time of year. But we're sending out the festive feelings. Yeah, you never know. So Christmas episode, Christmas special. It's like a mandatory thing. You always have to do a Christmas special. And we're joined by our good friend James.
Hello.
We were supposed to also be joined by Flora. However, she is feeling quite under the weather with a bug. Lots of bugs going around at the minute. I'm down with a cold for definite. Ronan, you were mentioning that you were...
Yeah. Hence the sniffs. You're going to have to edit around the sniffs.
Edit around all the sniffs and sniffles, yeah. Are you feeling all right, James?
Well, yeah, but I started getting the shivers a bit yesterday, so I'm a bit apprehensive for it to properly kick in probably tomorrow or the day after.
It's been hitting pretty much everybody I know. I think it's hard to avoid it at this point.
It's just the Christmas spirit, you know?
It is the Christmas spirit being spread around all the various offices. It wouldn't be too bad because I've been working from home all week because they let us work from home in the last week before Christmas, which has been nice. But last Saturday we were at the Christmas party, which was a massive event at Doncaster Racecourse. There was over 1,000 people there, so it was just throngs and throngs of people. And last year it was cancelled because of the COVID. Was it Omicron last year? Just suddenly kicked off over Christmas.
It was there wasn't a lockdown, I don't think, was there? But there was definitely a raised awareness. And
so they were we're not going to have the party. We're not going to cause everyone in the the company to catch the illness. So had it this year, and I can see why they cancelled it, but I've definitely caught various colds and coughs and snivels from the party this time around. I have tested for it, to be fair, but I'm okay. I'm still going strong. Still never tested positive for it, so built different, mate.
Lucky man. Joe's there yeah, same, and you're no, you've just never tested.
You did.
I've still technically never had it either, but I just. There's one time in particular where even though I tested and it came up negative, I'm just convinced it must have been it. When everybody says that it just feels different when you eventually get it. And it's just this one time that was I even lost my taste a bit and stuff like that. I just think that wasn't it. I don't know. Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, there was a point last year. It was when I went skiing last year, actually, during that week, and I just felt really, really rough, and I couldn't sleep. And I mean, it was probably a little aspect of the fact that I had 3 nights in a row with no sleep. So I don't know whether I felt horrible because of that, or if an illness was causing me not to sleep. But I was that's the closest. That was the most ill I've felt in a while, and I'm that's suspiciously could have been COVID, especially for the fact that when we came back, my dad and his mates all tested positive. I didn't test positive when we came back, so I'm I don't know if I caught it during the week, and then they kind of caught
the original spreader, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
You'd already recovered by the time you all got home.
But the thing is, it didn't floor me in the same way it floored a lot of people. I wasn't I was still able to ski, which leads me to think maybe it wasn't COVID because I was physically capable of skiing down Reds.
The breathlessness surely would have got you.
Yeah, so even if it wasn't the breathlessness, I would have thought the achiness would have got me or something, but
yeah,
I was more just sleep deprived. But yeah, not too bad. Yeah. Hopefully we'll have a COVID-free Christmas this time around.
Hopefully a better New Year.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, last year, Ronan, we had a big New Year's party at one of our friends' houses, and the day before, like a couple of days before, we'd had the big get together because we do Taskmaster as a group of friends, and we'd all got together at the same friend's house a few days earlier to watch all our Taskmasters back and have the actual like show part of it, like where they give out the points and it's all judged and everything. And one of the people who came to that was like, "Oh, my brother has COVID," and we were like, "Oh, why have you come? That's not great." And then they went away and they messaged the group chat later like, "I've tested positive for COVID."
Yeah, and it's like, would you believe it?
Would you believe it? So then when we all got back together again for New Year's, there were like several more COVID cases from there, and then quite a few people came down with COVID for New Year's.
It was only like a couple of days between the two events, so it wasn't enough for anybody who had caught it from the first event to start testing positive.
Yeah.
Because we were all still testing on New Year's Eve, like, no, I'm still negative.
Yeah, we're all fine.
And then the next day it was like, fuck,
Oh, nightmare.
here we go. It was like first one down, it's like, oh, second has entered the chat. It's like third, it's like, oh no, the panic's spreading.
It ended up being like a third of the group tested positive for it from that one party. Speaking of like Christmas parties and plans and stuff, either of you guys been up to anything interesting or fun or got anything planned, anything in the pipeline?
Nothing too wild, to be honest. Just a lot of like family meetings and just getting drunk with the family and friends, really. No major events that I'm going to or anything or have booked. It's just seeing people. Like catching up.
Bit of a family Christmas.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Ronan?
Yeah, well, I've just arrived back today. I'm officially on holiday now, so
Hey.
yeah. I'm feeling a little bit festive. I don't know whether I'm feeling crazy festive, but maybe this will.
Sorry for stealing you away from your family for this.
Oh, no, so like everybody's out this evening. It's like everybody's making their own excuses, it seems. So
Okay.
it works out quite well.
That's all right then.
But yeah, I'm quite happy to be back. So like I think the thing that I've said like loads of times since being down in London is just like missing nature a little bit. So it's kind of nice just being in slightly more open, slightly more fresh air, I think. So I'm looking forward to that, and obviously family.
As a secondary, as a bonus. Are we all having just like a little family Christmas thing? Because I'm just going to be with just the four of us plus my auntie and my gran. So just a small family Christmas for us.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, same.
We used to do like the big do's at my auntie's house in Barnsley, but we stopped doing them years ago because it's a fucking lot of effort to drive to Barnsley on Christmas.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like we'd just be driving back in the car like, oh, fucking hell, do we have to do this again next year?
I was never aware. I don't know whether this was the same for you guys, but I was never aware of like how stressful Christmas is for a lot of people growing up.
Yeah.
I think as a kid you're just kind of oblivious to it. If anything, actually, you're a part of the stress for
Yeah.
for all that.
yeah, definitely.
Too much energy to you want to get up early and all that kind of stuff. Like it's just absolute nightmares, really. I get it now, but. Yeah, I mean, it is like a stressful and quite tiring thing, especially when people do those big Christmases. Lots of different family members who obviously will have a lot of affection for each other, but like you're not seeing each other for most of the year, and then suddenly you're all thrown together. What's also like a stressful situation because you're like cooking a big meal. You've got to like navigate just general basic space kind of politics in terms of like how to fit everybody in a house.
Terrible for that as well, aren't they? Kids just like running around like mayhem, playing with all the new toys and stuff.
I mean, I feel guilty for always getting my parents up at the earliest possible moment to like open presents and stuff.
Oh
like,
no!
It was a case of like they'd be like, "You can get out of bed at like." We'd negotiate how early we could get up because me and my brother would be like literally waking up at 3 a.m. with excitement, and my parents were like, "No, the absolute earliest you can get up is like 6 a.m." And we'd always like push it to like 5:30, or can we go down and open presents now? Like
I was the exact same, Louis. And here is a life hack you need to remember that my parents used on me up until I was like 13, I think, or something. They said, well, I don't know, probably not that old, probably a bit younger. But they would change the time on their alarm clock in their room. So they'd put it, was it backwards? Yeah, they'd put it backwards, two extra hours. So I'd come in at say like 5:30.
Yeah.
And they'd wake up and they'd be like, "Oh, James, look, it's only 3:30. Come on." Just they'd be like, "Oh, come on, climb into bed and we'll have another couple of hours and sleep." And then we'll get up and go.
That's huge brain.
It turned out we were actually swanning down for breakfast about 9:30 most years.
Oh, they've smashed
So I was
that.
I was there thinking like we were getting up at the crack of dawn. I'm about to catch Santa. my, my
He's
parents are
long
having
gone,
like
mate.
my parents are having like the biggest lie-in of the year. Probably thinking I was up at 5:30 a few days ago to drive to work. I'm not getting up at that time on Christmas.
I remember I have two older siblings. Me and my younger sister would always be like getting up and like I remember really early on, like vaguely, when the other two were just too old to want to get up. Like that happened pretty early on. And that felt like a bit of a betrayal. But I remember like the years went on, and I remember the first Christmas really, really vividly when I just didn't want to get up. And my sister came into my room like, "Come on, aren't you really excited?" And I was just like, "No, I want to sleep." And that felt like such a betrayal. And also having gone through it yourself, so you know the exact feeling. That was that. I mean, that was my that was the deep trauma to explore.
Was your sister still like in the excited phase for Christmas?
Yeah, very well. So she's 2 years younger. So like she wasn't behind or anything, but I just remember that feeling of like I've just switched in a phase and she's not quite there yet. And it's like this leaving behind.
You've pulled the classic middle child move.
Yeah.
Of being let down by your older siblings only to immediately like follow through and do it to your younger siblings as well.
I mean, it's Shakespearean. He couldn't have written it a bit better himself. It's
I think me and my brother are now definitely in that phase of like, I mean, I'll still get up because I tried to be more of a morning person. I'm not a morning person, but I like want to be one. So like generally speaking, I'll try and get up. And especially for Christmas, you're like, oh, I want to make the most of the day, you know. And it's less about waking up and getting excited to run downstairs and open presents. Now it's just more kind of like, oh, I'll just have a nice morning.
Run downstairs and get on the book fizz.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. But my brother will very much. He I think he could stay in bed all day happily, like sleeping in until it's time to get up, briefly go on his computer for a bit, and then go back to bed. I think that's like my brother's dream. He's very much in that kind of uni stage of life, where the days don't matter.
Literally. And then you start working, and it's like, fucking hell, I have no time.
Yeah, I've got to make the most of my free time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything particularly festive that you like to do that kind of gets you in the mood in the build up or like the days of?
Doing all my Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve. That's usually the one.
The last minute scramble.
Yeah, I've not had a really feel of a Christmassy build up this year for some reason. I don't know if it's just because I'm working right up until literally 2 days before.
Yeah.
But in my head, I've been like ticking over a few presents this last week and a week or so. And yesterday I was like, oh yeah, I'll polish up the rest of those presents on Saturday. But then I was like, oh no, on Saturday it's literally Christmas Eve, so I'll have to go into town. I can't order anything online.
Yeah, and town's going to be crawling
it's just
as
like,
well.
oh god, do I want to go into town? And it's like, well, I've not really left myself much choice now because
You've set yourself up for a miserable Christmas Eve, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're going to have to de-stress afterwards.
So I've been having a conversation with my parents as well about they want me to come over on Christmas Eve and stay over till Christmas Day. And I'm just in the back of my head thinking, like, I need to go and sort out all the presents still. I need to sort out a bunch of presents still. So I'm like, no, it's okay, Dad. I'll just come on Christmas Day. I'll see you in the morning. It's fine. And he's like, no, come on Christmas Eve. It's like, I still need to do all the shopping.
You'll need to do a role reversal because I'm pretty sure there were points in the past when I was younger that my parents would be up at like. It makes waking them up super early even worse because I'm pretty sure they'd wait until me and my brother had gone to bed to then do all the Christmas wrapping.
Oh,
at midnight or like 1 a.m.
or whatever.
Yeah, so that you might just have to do that at your parents' house, like a role reversal. Have all the gifts,
literally.
like bring a suspicious number of bags into the house.
I've had to wrap one on Christmas Day before, to be fair.
Bloody hell.
Which was, not doing that again.
It felt
just
festive.
Like, parents are sat down waiting to open presents, and he's just there wrapping it. They're like, "Hurry up!" And you're like, "1 second, it's getting ready." It's like paper galore just flying everywhere.
That is probably the most last minute you could leave it. To be fair.
Yeah.
It's quite impressive. It's to an extent. Yeah.
Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Yeah. Anything particularly festive you like to do, Ronan, to get yourself into the spirit?
I'm not sure. Like I think progressively over the years I have just got less and less Christmassy. I think I used to feel like, I mean, I still probably prefer it to birthday, like my birthday in a lot of ways. Like love the time, like the day itself, but like increasingly it is confined to the day itself. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
on the day, it's hard to explain, but I think everybody intuitively gets this. Like, it just feels. It feels different. It feels like Christmas.
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of pinpoint.
Yeah, no, I know exactly
what does that. But I guess there's a lot of ritual around that in the sense of like you go back to your family, and you know that you've got like a routine ahead that's like that sort of sets it as Christmas. There's also like elements like the whole country seems to fall really, really quiet. The roads become quiet. Like you see out and about are like people on their Christmas walks. Like, so there's just this.
But it's gonna be like fucking lockdown all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Quiet roads and everyone out on walks.
I'm obsessed with that feeling of it is Christmas Day, because there's not many universal days like that just feel so distinct.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the things I was going to mention about the music is that like I always find that, or often find at least, that music around this time of year, like if I've got certain playlists or things like that, it'll often be a very distinctive, if I ever go back to songs that were like played a lot around this time of year, have a really distinctive sense of nostalgia. Yeah, because of that vibe of it's Christmas. So it creates a very specific kind of reminiscence in my head. And like it's hard to pinpoint, but music's obviously one of those ways that you can access that.
That like connects quite nicely with I mean that everything we've just been saying there kind of is the only kind of point that I wanted to hit on in terms of like the Christmas music dynamic is I feel like I don't have a super hot take. I think this is probably quite a cold take, but like I think people talk a lot about how like Christmas media, like Christmas songs, Christmas films, Christmas TV shows, are they a thing? I don't think so, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Christmas
specials. Yeah, like, but there's a lot of talk about how like Christmas media is generally kind of crap, which is kind of true, but they are like mostly crap. But like I think that's okay, because I think like the reason they exist and the purpose of all the Christmas songs and the Christmas movies is like making this time of year feel distinct. And it's kind of like what you were saying, Ronan, is like they all serve to feed into this kind of sense of ritual. So like to an extent, I think if you want to feel Christmassy, like if you want to kind of get into that Christmas mood, you kind of have to lean into the cheese and like the crappiness. Like you need like the dumb tropey Christmas songs playing in the background. Like you need those like sleigh bells ringing away in the background. Because even though like it does sometimes get a bit annoying or something, it's something that you only listen to at this time of year, and it helps separate and kind of give this time of year like its unique identity. Like having cheesy rom-coms on the TV just running in the background while you're like cooking or whatever, like it all builds into what makes Christmas kind of special and different. And I think when people talk about like, oh, I've not really been feeling Christmassy this year, I think sometimes the cure to that, even though like I think a lot of cynical people are like, I'm so sick of hearing like Mariah Carey or whatever, for example, sometimes you just need to put her on and like be like, yeah, I'm feeling that kind of Christmassy energy now. And I think that's a little bit separate to what you're saying about Christmas Day feeling special, because I agree that like the day itself feels really special in its own way, in the sense that it's across the entire country. Everybody is spending time with family, nobody's working. Like there's so many elements that make the day itself feel special. But I think if you want to kind of lean into this build up, you need like a cheesy Christmas calendar. You need like a few like cheesy decorations put up around the house. You need to take the time to like, it's about just taking the time to kind of lean into the over the top nature of the holiday to then kind of live it a little bit.
If you want, basically Christmas the day perhaps can exist on its own without all of that stuff around it. But if you want Christmas the season, despite what people say, actually perhaps you need more consumerism.
Literally,
in order for it to be a whole season and like a whole kind of broad vibe, you perhaps you do need to get bombarded with all that stuff. Otherwise it would just naturally be confined to the day.
Yeah, just blend into anything else.
Yeah.
And then the day just becomes meaningless in a lot of ways. It's just another day. It's like, oh, well, why is it any different to the other day?
Yeah.
It's true.
It's like how Easter feels special because you eat a big chocolate egg, but, you know. you don't feel like Eastery in the build up to Easter, do you? Like,
I do think there's something distinct about Christmas the day. The closest equivalent I can think, I'm sure there's an equivalent in like every culture, and Christmas is this for a lot of cultures now because we've got such a kind of global society. But I actually think it's probably more comparable in some way. Like the way we're describing Christmas the day is probably more comparable to Thanksgiving in America than probably Christmas is for Americans in a way. Christmas seems like a pure, like, obviously we also only really see Christmas in America through the commercial lens because we only see it through like film and stuff. But it feels like a more purely commercial thing, whereas Thanksgiving has this commercial edge to it, especially obviously with Black Friday. But the way that Americans seem to describe, the way they seem to describe Thanksgiving is to like this kind of very distinct, almost kind of sort of spiritual, dare I say, kind of vibe.
So it's like a time for family, isn't it? Which
it's the family thing.
Christmas is also that for us, whereas it doesn't seem to have that same kind of vibe there.
Yeah.
On Christmas music, you was talking about earlier, Ronan, how it's like you find it loads of ways of associating it with like really positive memories from like a nostalgia trip almost. It's interesting to think about a lot of people who have grown up in retail from like 16 to maybe like their early 20s and just going through like 3 or 4 Christmases in a row of just working with nothing but cheesy Christmas music all day. It'd be interesting to see like their take on the Christmas season, how like whether do they have the same kind of feelings of like, oh, you slowly build up with music and different associations, or is it just like the Christmas music starts and they just immediately think like, oh, fuck this?
Yeah, they get a little bit triggered by it.
Not again. It's just like a little, like you say, a little triggering almost.
I'd be sick of it because I think broadly speaking, I was listening to some Mariah Carey on the way here after you suggested it, Louis.
Yeah,
and I have to say I did have to stop. I think quite quickly.
I'm the same.
I am actually, much to my dismay, just quite grinchy about a lot of this stuff. I realised. So despite all this stuff, I mean, this is, I guess, goes right back to what I was saying at the beginning about like as I've got older, I've just got less and less into it. I've been finding myself just. As soon as like pretty much straight after Halloween, all of the kind of adverts came on and just being completely sick of them straight away. And I feel awful for it, but I've not been able to stand it. I can't stand a lot of Christmas tunes.
I mean, that's kind of what my point being is that like it is crap. Like at the end of the day, a lot of it is genuinely is annoying and genuinely is not very good. But the point being that like you have to kind of like accept and embrace that and then lean into it and be like, I am being festive, but like I can see why it just immediately burns you. Like I can't put Christmas music on to listen to just for myself. Like it needs to be in the background in a room full of people being Christmassy.
It makes me angrier than just sitting in silence. I don't know what it is. I think it's, well, I really like Michael Bublé as a singer. I love his voice, but his Christmas album was just exhausting.
Does he have any music other than Christmas music? I thought like that's the whole thing. They only bring him out at Christmas, don't they?
You bring him out at Christmas.
I don't know.
They keep him in the cupboard the rest
on that
of the time.
Hannibal Lecter style.
Did Michael Bublé ever do his own songs or any other covers?
No idea. I don't know enough about him really. Like other than just the Christmas, like the just jokes about him every year build up to Christmas.
Wheeling him out at Christmas.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at his Crazy Love in 2009. Cry Me a River. That's the one I remember. I don't know how many of them are covers and how many of them are just like.
Oh God!
I didn't think we were going to talk about Michael Bublé, but here we are.
Oh, I love him. He is a gem.
He's often credited for helping to renew public interest and appreciation for traditional pop standards and the Great American Songbook. So he is like a revivalist in a sense of like old tunes.
Now that makes sense why you love him then, James. To be fair, you love an old American banger.
I do. Oh my God, it's been releasing an album for days. First one was 2003. Oh, come fly with me on it.
Would Michael be your go-to? I mean, I guess not, since he said that his Christmas album is an absolute drain.
It was just so slow and tiresome.
What would be your like go-to Christmas songs then?
I don't know. I really like. So we're talking about like what we associate it with. And for me, I really like a lot of like the cheesy ones from the 80s because the music videos was always like people in bright colours dancing around in the snow and having a like you think of Mariah Carey or you think of Wham or Wizard and they're always just like doing something a bit silly. And I just remember
Yeah.
growing up watching all of them, and my parents would always be really reminiscent and nostalgic on it, 'cause with that they came out in their prime, their teens and 20s. So they always were massive fans of it. So I guess that just kind of rubbed off on me.
Definitely appreciate the One Man Wizard vibe of, like you say, not taking it too seriously, being like, oh, it's a fun, dumb Christmas song that we're just singing because it's like a jolly dance along. I do feel like a lot of modern artists who are like, I'm gonna make a Christmas #1 this year, and they're so self-serious. I think that's part of the problem with Buble, is it's like he takes himself far too seriously. But like when Justin Bieber tried to do a Christmas song or whatever, it's just like it tries way too hard. You just need to have a weird wizardy elf outfit dressed like Santa, but lime green, singing in the snow. Yeah, you're right. The 80s nailed it in terms of cheesy Christmas songs.
Silly. It was funny.
The other option is pretty much the opposite. I think I agree with this take in that you either you really lean into it, which basically what you're saying, you just embrace the fact of how cheesy it is, or you go the other route, which is just be really cynical about it and wear the cynicism on your sleeve. I think probably the biggest example of that, although this is probably not quite a fair take on it, but is Fairytale of New York has a sub dark and slightly cynical edge to it. I mean, it's basically about two people falling in love, but then immediately kind of falling out and hating each other and blaming each other for all their life's failures, essentially. I mean, it's a real hardcore Christmas song. I was just listening to that on the way up as well.
Christmas, yeah.
It's funny how it's that hardcore, and yeah, I'd say it is honestly my favorite Christmas song, and it's probably most people's.
It's just an incredible song.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. It's one of the rare Christmas songs that genuinely stands up as an actual song in itself, and is actually enjoyable to listen to.
It's just incredibly rich listening back to it. I mean, the only ever criticism I've heard of it is that it's overplayed, which is kind of fair enough because it does get rinsed along with everything.
It also does have a heavy use of a certain slur.
Yeah.
That's the other criticism of it.
Yeah.
Although I've often thought that I think there's versions of it where it's censored, but I also think could not we just change the word to maggot, the grub?
It'd be that hard.
Because that would fit.
The artist would then have to choose to self-censor it, which I'm not sure they have agreed to. I imagine it's record labels or radio that censor it, don't they?
I'm also pretty sure that the woman who sang it is dead. That's a classic fact that people wheel out. It's the two facts that people wheel out for the song. You must have heard these, Ronan, at some point. Is you'll play it?
No.
Really? Okay.
Kirsty MacColl.
So the two facts are someone will always bring up, you play it, someone will always bring up that she was killed in a speedboat accident. She got run over by a speedboat. Was she decapitated by a speedboat?
I don't know.
It definitely hit her.
Yeah, she pushed her, I think it might have even been a jet ski, but she basically pushed her kids out of the way, then just got smashed in the head.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Brutal.
That's horrific.
Yeah.
It is horrific, but it's when you watch Lord of the Rings with somebody and they always bring up the fact that the guy who played Aragorn broke his toe kicking the orc helmet.
Yeah.
It's that kind of fact that's become a compulsory meme. And the other fact of that song is that apparently the male singer was so blackout drunk when they recorded it that he doesn't remember recording it at all. I'm not sure if that one's more of a bit of an urban myth, but apparently they were absolutely blathered, and that's part why it's so real. It fits the energy of the song. But I'm sure you could do a bit of audio manipulation and get an F sound to sound like an M sound, and maybe.
Yeah, I've got to say, my controversial opinion on this one is actually because we've discussed, for example, the Kendrick song that deals with this. And I think that the Kendrick song is really interesting because even though...
I love that we found a way to talk about Kendrick Lamar even in the Christmas episode.
but I mean, with that one, he's doing a lot of sort of complex devices, but I think it does feel... Oh yeah, okay. No, I don't know what I'm saying with this one. I think my defense of this one is that I can see why it's problematic, maybe for people to sing along with it and to kind of sing it forcefully, because there's almost a cheer with which people sing it, and that just feels kind of like it's missing the point. As an independent sort of self-standing art piece, I think that's always been one of the kind of great things about the song is that it's almost telling a story, well, a fairy tale, supposedly. And
Allegedly.
like in telling that story, it's these quite like vicious characters saying quite vicious things to one another. It almost has the feeling of like a play or something like that. And at that point, I don't know whether you can hold the song itself accountable for what the characters in the song, so to speak, are doing. I know that's always sort of blurred lines, but yeah, I don't know. I think part of me would sort of put up a defense for that song existing it.
Yeah.
I guess if you're playing it on radio, you might want to sort of censor it if it's in the daytime in the same way that you'd sort of maybe censor other swear words and stuff. But it's more than a swear word. It is a slur. That's the key thing.
Totally get your like take on it as like it is characters in the same way that, for example, like the characters in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia are like purposely bad people, and like these are characters in a song who, like you say, are vicious. But I think, yeah, like you say, the issue is because it is like a widely commercialized Christmas song that's almost universally people's favorites. It's almost like these people, and like you say, there are people who say it like shout the lyrics out. And like they get to that part of the song and they say it with just a little bit too much glee, and it's like this was not an F-word pass. Like you don't get a pass. Like turn it down.
On your point of finding replacement words, though, Louis, maggot is what it's rhymed with in the first place.
Yeah, but you can rhyme a word. You can rhyme a word in itself.
That would feel weak.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
that'd be a weak
yeah.
cop-out, but there are definitely other words they could use.
I swear there's versions that have like cheap and haggard or something like that. Am I making that up? Like,
No, that's in there.
You're haggard.
You're a bum, you're a punk, you're an old slut on junk, lying there almost dead on a drip in that bag. You scumbag, you maggot. Happy Christmas, you arse. I pray God it's our last.
It is a full brutal roast.
You could have your cheap and your haggard. That would work. I swear I've heard that one before. That feels like that would fit in.
I'll take that version.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I mean it works.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it is interesting. I think actually like might have touched upon something there that part of its complication is that it's a song that is doing something perhaps a little bit more artful, but its main form in which it exists in popular culture isn't particularly.
It's a chart-topping Christmas song. Yeah.
Yeah, and that discrepancy,
which is what like Kendrick's would never be. So like, there's a difference there. Like,
people in the future will only go back to it if they're a massive fan of that.
As like it's like a deep cut versus a Christmas number one. Like the context of it existing.
I don't think it's even in the top 20 at the moment.
I mean, that's blasphemy because we all know it's the best one.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally not in there. Oh, wait, no, it is. It's number 9, sorry. I just can't read.
It's funny, though, because I don't really associate it as... I've only really associated it more strongly with Christmas in recent years. For me, it's always, which is bizarre because it is very blatantly a Christmas song in terms of like the lyrics. Like it talks about like the bells ringing out for Christmas Day, etc.
Yeah,
but like for me, and like the video is very Christmassy. But for like me and my kind of association with it, it was a song that was we always used to go around for New Year's Eve. We'd go around to family friends, like so it'd be my family and a family friend, and we'd all be together. And it would get to like 11:30 or whatever, and they'd play this song and all dance together. Like, and you know when parents with their like actual good friends and they're all a bit wine drunk and they're just be merry, and they're like getting the kids to dance with them and stuff. Like it was that kind of thing. We'd all be linking
all like
arms
close, but not really close, and you're all a bit awkward still.
Yeah, is that kind of energy. So that's what I associate more with New Year's. But in the same way, we were saying that like in the US, Thanksgiving is a little bit more that kind of family get-together time, and then in the UK, it's more Christmas. I think Christmas and New Year's can be rolled into one in terms of like
it's all
that kind of festive period. And it's something I was talking to some people at work about actually, because they're Polish, and the Polish people tend to celebrate all 3 days, but particularly Christmas Eve is when you open presents and stuff like that. And then Christmas Day is more of a kind of family food and drinks period. And then so is Boxing Day, if I remember correctly. So like, I think I quite like this idea that really you can kind of celebrate the festivities whenever with whoever you want. There's no like... There's like certain cultures will do it in certain orders or whatever, but at the end of the day, the important bits are that you're just kind of getting your little bit of festive feel on. So whether that's, you know, on the 24th or on the like 30th, then I don't think it really matters too much. So you can blast out these Christmas songs whenever you want, I guess, is my takeaway on that.
When I was listening to it, I did notice it is on just a normal album, isn't it? I think, or was that unless it was on a greatest hits album and I didn't notice that. I think it might have been. I'm gonna check. It could have actually just been that it was like greatest hits for Pogues or something. Because all I noticed was it was the same album cover that was just a.
If I Should Fall from Grace with God, expanded edition, 1988.
There you go. So yeah, it was kind of. It wasn't released as just as a Christmas single. It was included on a normal album, which kind of gives it a bit more of that kind of. It could be played at any time of year, and it doesn't have like certain Christmas songs do just have like a relentless Christmassiness to them, which it doesn't quite.
The sleigh bells.
It doesn't have the sleigh bells is exactly what I was thinking. Other Christmas songs are a bit like that. There's an Outcast song from their first album, Players Ball, which was originally a Christmas song, and it's basically it is what it says on the tin. It's about a players' ball where it's all the gangsters of Atlanta just sort of meeting up for a Christmas ball. I think essentially it's a blast. I highly recommend checking it out.
I might have to add that to some Christmas playlists.
But that also doesn't like, other than it does have some very light sleigh bells in the background as part of the sort of percussion, but it doesn't particularly have a crazy Christmassiness. Did either of you, whilst sticking on the kind of more cynical Christmas songs, did either of you get a chance to listen to the Frightened Rabbit one I suggested?
I did, yeah.
No, I haven't actually.
What did you think of it, Louis? If before I talk about it.
So I really liked it. It's not a song that I'd play at Christmas for obvious for obvious reasons. But like the more I feel like Frightened Rabbit is growing into this like. We're destined to cover them at some point, I'm hoping.
Yeah, probably.
And having a little taste of them now was really interesting. Yeah, it's I'm interested to see, like, is this one that you would actually choose to play at Christmas or like around the festive period?
I don't massively. I did go like a couple of years, where I was playing it a lot, like on playlists and stuff like that. But I just don't massively play Christmas songs, to be honest. But I do think that this is up there as just one of my all-time favorite Christmas songs. It brilliantly encapsulates that sort of cynical side of Christmas songs that I'm talking about. It's also, talking of tasters for Frightened Rabbit, I think it's quite a good taster for both the musical sound and also the sort of sensibilities of Frightened Rabbit. There's a sort of earnestness to it. And a sort of optimism. Same with the music. The music kind of has this swelling sound of like as if it should be sort of this big epic and kind of like cathartic moment, but there's a sort of darker undertone, and all of those are kind of common themes. But what I love about it is that it's the perfect. I'm using the word cynical too much now. I'm trying to look for a synonym. If anybody could help me out, but it's the perfect pedantic take on Christmas. That doesn't sound quite right either, but because it describes that phenomenon of essentially just for this one day, everybody suddenly starts being kind of nice to each other. You put aside all the
like a little bit fake almost,
all the sort of heat. Yeah, and it's sort of a little bit fake, and that's the song kind of plays with this back and forth a little bit. Like it's sort of a little bit fake, it's sort of a little bit ridiculous, because then the next day you kind of go back to all the old sort of drama and beef and sort of day-to-day stresses and sadnesses.
You're almost just putting a temporary pause on it, a little bit of an armistice.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a little bit of a plaster, like and maybe perhaps performative. It's just sort of, it's got all of that, but at the same time, there's something beautiful at the core of that. There's something about this sense of possibility that we can be good to one another for a day, and we can share this sense of love and joy and all that kind of stuff. So and it's the whole song balances on that, which I think is just a brilliant take on Christmas. And not all Christmas songs try to do that. Let's put it that way. And we wouldn't want all of them to try to do that in terms of like how they're commenting on Christmas. But I love that it just goes balls to the wall with it and tries to sort of earnestly look at what Christmas is.
Yeah, it's like a real take on it.
Yeah, and it has a brilliant combination of optimism and sort of, I'll use it one more time, cynicism.
It's kind of more of like an analysis of what, and like probably how a lot of people feel about Christmas. So in that sense, that it's more a song about Christmas. To me, like my take on it is it's more a song about Christmas and what Christmas is, more than it is like a Christmas song.
Yeah, although it's got the backing vocals of the that have a sort of, it's got a Christmassy sound to it, I think.
Yeah,
a little
it
bit,
does.
but
Yeah, but I think that's part of like the artistic like decision to like lean it that way.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it can be a Christmas song, but I mean more in the sense that like it's more of an interesting take on Christmas versus like it's not just like another sleigh bells ringing in the background, put it on as background music.
Yeah,
It's like you can actually listen to it as an artistic statement rather than just being annoying background trash. You know, it stands aside as like something a bit more artful and thought through.
They'll not be putting it on in John Lewis anyway next year.
No.
Like that.
Although I've just noticed there is a choir version, so I've not listened to that one.
Yeah, I've not tried that one. Maybe that's a bit more Christmassy.
My other top pick, like, you know when people are like, oh, what are your top
Yeah.
3 or whatever? I think people are always like, oh, what's your top 5? And it's like, let's be real, no one has 5 Christmas songs that they love. Like, people barely have 2 at best. So my top 2 are Fairytale of New York, and then Driving Home for Christmas is
That's about
a bit of a favorite because I feel like it's not too obnoxious. I like the story behind why it was written, and I've got a bit personal connection to it in the sense that we always played it when my parents would come pick me up from university, and then we'd play it on the drive back home down from Newcastle. So I've kind of got that association with it, like, oh, we actually are driving home for Christmas, and it kind of gets you into that kind of festive spirit when you're coming back from uni. And it's nice because that kind of also links. Like the story behind it being written was Chris Rea, who Bob Mortimer did that hilarious story about him breaking an egg in his bathtub. On Would I Lie to You?
Oh God, I'll probably have seen it somewhere.
I'll put a link in the description for that one.
Please do.
But Chris Rea wrote it when he was trying to get home to Middlesbrough from Abbey Road, and basically like he was like kind of on the ropes in a financial situation, and the record company wouldn't pay for his train ticket home, so his wife had to come down from Middlesbrough, pick him up in the car, and drive him back up. And they got, obviously, Christmas time, they ended up getting stuck in like some really heavy traffic while snow was falling outside. So he was struck by inspiration when he was like looking out his car window, and he's just looking at all the other motorists who were just like all sat in this traffic jam looking absolutely miserable.
What should be happy times is just filled with miserable flats on the M1.
Literally. And then he's just there like started humming to himself a little bit, like, oh yeah, we're all driving home for Christmas. And then that ended up spiraling off, and later wrote it out as a proper song. And yeah, I think it's one for me that it's one of those Christmas songs that's not too obnoxious. You can put it on in the car and then switch to normal music. You can mix it in. You can have it on your road trip.
As well has always felt genuine. A lot of the older songs always have a bit more of a genuine feel. Like, I don't know, they wanted a Christmas song rather than they wanted to make the big
feel
paycheck.
Warmer. Yeah, definely. I definitely feel that.
I mean, that's definitely just like an assumption. They could all be horrible people. I have no idea.
Just for the sake of balance.
They were famous men in the 1950s. They probably were.
They all feel like they're slightly less of like. I think they probably were a bit of a cash grab. Although to be fair, there's been a few that like when I've read them up on Wikipedia, it's all these like, oh, they recorded it and it was like a Christmas number 73. Like no one listened to it when it first came out, and then like over the years, more and more people kind of came back to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
we were looking at some of the old like Christmas top 20s from years ago, trying to find inspiration for the quiz, and some of the ones that are in like the top 10 every year now weren't even in like the top 3 or 4 when they came out. And it's just loads of old songs. Well, I mean, like really old songs, because this was like the 70s and 80s we were looking, and it was just like. But then you think like, oh, what would my grandparents have listened to? I suppose.
I'm pretty sure Last Christmas was like one of those, wasn't it? I swear Last Christmas never really blew up. Oh, okay. In which case,
but in fairness to Last Christmas, it was only beaten by Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah, that's tough.
So it's like, and then I've just seen an interesting stat that's not in the quiz. After I think they released it was at 84 or something, Band-Aid. It was the highest selling song of all time in the UK till 97, 13 years later.
Oof, wow.
That's a fair stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, it was 1984, so 13 years straight it was the highest selling song.
I feel the Band-Aid one's a little bit patronising.
Oh, absolutely. I hate it.
What,
Do they know?
Christmas?
It's
Yeah,
literally called. Do they know it's Christmas? It's like they have calendars.
Yeah.
They can tell the seasons. What is this?
Was it
Oh,
like, does it snow in Africa or something?
It's like, well, in
come
fucking
on.
some places it will, in some places it won't.
It's an entire continent. Like,
Yeah,
Does
not
it
to knock
snow
it
in the
too much,
USA?
'cause
It's
obviously,
like, well, yes, in Michigan, no, in Texas. It's like, what do you mean?
it's like at the World Cup, there were commentators when was it when we were playing?
Senegal.
But yeah, it's when we played Senegal, and the Senegalese, I think that's how you say
Yeah.
it, right? The fans were, they had the drums going and they had all these amazing costumes and they were dancing. And then like some of the commentators are like, "Oh, they've really brought the spirit of Africa." And it's like that's an entire continent. You'd never say like, "Oh, the Belgians have really brought the spirit of Europe with them."
We
Like,
hate it when Americans say that about Europeans. We hate it.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
we just
shouldn't do
immediately
the
like
same to them.
outrageous.
I definitely
Sorry, Ronan,
think-
what were you gonna say? I feel like I cut you off with football talk.
No, I mean, I was just going to say basically what you guys are saying, really, about Band-Aid. Obviously, did good things, like really good things, but also I think was like a real key, or always seems to me a key point in creating that modern image of Africa as a sort of like shifting from a kind of colonial, like derogatory kind of outlook to just post-colonial, like slightly condescending outlook, essentially, like viewing the whole continent as this sort of bunch of helpless children, like that just need our help. Us amazing.
It was White Savior, the group. White Savior's the super group.
Yeah.
Like,
And yeah, fully kind of like the whole like all of the sort of like images which I feel were still common in like the noughties that we sort of grew up with like the starving children in Africa kind of stereotype, like that, all of that feels vaguely traceable to Band-Aid in particular. I don't know whether I'm putting too much in it there, and obviously I'm sure it's not all Bob Geldof's fault.
But I suppose on that point though, like you say, it's kind of like the beginning, because a lot of our parents, that would have been like a really impressionable time for people who are in their 40s,
Definitely.
50s and 60s now. And like you say, that was like that first turning point almost. So they'd have seen that as like, well, we're not like our parents who were in the imperialist stage almost of their views on the country, or continent rather. And so they'll have felt almost progressive, I bet, belting out "Did They Know It's Christmas?"
Oh, almost certainly. Yeah, I think it's often like, the last generation's liberalism is this generation's conservatism, isn't it? So it's like everything's a constant sort of lag and you like to think, hopefully, like there'll be things that we're messing up now that the next generation will improve upon. We'll see. I'm not sure it always works like that. In fact, I think there's probably sort of part of our problem at the moment is that we constantly assume that there's just permanent progress. Whereas, anyway, this is too depressing. There's Christmas.
Christmas! It's Christmas! It's Christmas!
So my favorite Christmas song is the one by Wizard. I wish it could be Christmas every day.
I wish it could.
Yeah.
In second year at uni, that was a bit of a running joke that we were celebrating Christmas all year this year. It'd be like the middle of June, and it's like, no, Merry Christmas. Obviously, we didn't do it every day, but it'd just be like the odd joke. It'd be like, hey, Merry Christmas.
Was that all from the song? Like just
No. It was
song
just
and
I can't remember.
okay.
I think it probably stemmed more from we not taking Christmas decorations down in January.
I was going to ask if it was that.
and then it
Sure,
going on
okay,
to
yeah.
February, and then being like, well, we might as well just leave them up now and use them as like birthday decorations. Just replace the Christmas one with Happy Birthday and then leave the rest up. Like I was saying earlier, it's just the music video growing up. Just it was such like a happy video, just filled with cheer.
It is one of those joyous ones, like
Yeah.
the whole energy they bring to it. As like, I don't know I don't think I've listened to any other Wizard song other than.
No, God, neither. I couldn't
I
name a
don't really know
single
what
one.
genre they are.
What I find funny about it, even more thinking about it, is it's a pretty wacky, out there music video and song for Christmas even now. So imagine what it must have been like was it the 70s it came out? What must it have been like when everybody was used to just like White Christmas and all the songs like that? Like
Yeah.
basically Michael Bublé's album, but by the originals.
I've actually never seen. It's interesting. Like, what do you think? What's the reason that you know the music videos so intimately? Like where's that come from? Because I don't think I've ever seen the music videos for these.
I used to watch them with my family. Like we'd just sit at Christmas and like stick on Viva Top 40. And
I was
just
gonna
watch-
say it was always
and
like,
watch-
yeah, there's always some TV channel that's
Yeah.
playing like all the top 100, and it's
Yeah,
just on all
exactly.
day. And you tune in, you're like, oh my god, it's still on number 67. Like how?
Yeah, I say like we'd watch it. It'd be on in the background while we'd do like our Christmas Day kind of thing. From like, I was about to say from 5 till 9, but obviously it would have actually been 9 till about 2, which is also funny. Because in my head, mentally, I always thought we had Christmas dinner really early. So I'd always say to people that we had it really early. But now that I stop and think about it, bloody midday was probably like 3 p.m.
You've been scammed. Yeah.
I've just seen the video. It's got to be 70s. It looks like peak
I googled
70s.
it. It's 73.
Yeah,
it's very 70s.
It's that extravagance. The bigger the hair, the bigger the outfit, the bigger the colours.
The wider the sleeves.
The bigger the castle that they clearly decided to put in the background.
And it was still that period where, you know, old, weird, grown men who clearly look very creepy are dancing and having fun with little children.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah.
And it's just not questioned. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's just like,
that looks fine.
that's fine. It's Christmas. I'm going to have to Google into Wizard a little bit more, find out what happened to the band members later in life.
I feel like I'm like watching the genesis of David Lynch's Psychology. It's like, I feel like it's full Mulholland Drive stuff, like weird, like the kids look like little, I guess they're supposed to look like elves, but it's really off.
I've always found the elf kids in that music video off-putting. Like, there's some weird energy about them that's like...
Or it's the fact that they're with these weird adults.
It might be the combination, yeah. It might just be like the whole general vibe just being like, this is kind of...
The vibe is off. Yeah.
But that's kind of like you say, that's just the whole 70s. Like, the vibe was off the whole decade.
I'm reading up more about Wizard, and they're just getting stranger the more I read about them. They turned up, did 3 albums in 3 years, wrote that Christmas song, and then disbanded. But their 3rd album was deemed so commercially inviable by the record label that they didn't even release it. And their final farewell single as the band split up didn't even chart in the top 100.
Oh.
So it was like, it's not like there was some like iconic, massive, really popular band. It's just, I don't know. It'd be interesting to speak to someone who was into them around that time or like liked them, because 3 years is like no time at all.
It does look like they're purely carried by I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day.
time.
Like, unsurprisingly.
One-hit wonders, isn't it? I mean, Christmas season has got to be the prime of one-hit wonders. Pretty much most big Christmas songs, or maybe not. I don't know. I feel like a lot of them feel like I don't what there was one that you even the Driving Home for Christmas. Did what's his name do anything else?
I mean, yeah, Chris Rea was quite a prolific artist, to be fair. Yeah.
We could be prolific, but was he like popular as well? Or,
like Driving Home for Christmas, obviously his biggest hit with 403 million listens, but like he's still got other ones in his tops that are going like multi-million, like 14 million, 20 million, 19 million, 15 million. Whereas Wizard, their next top song has 3 million, and then it just drops down to 530,000, 363,000, 82,000. Like, there's a significant drop off. So Chris was a little bit more resilient than Wizard.
Yeah, good on him. That's it. I like the idea of now I know Chris's stories.
I'm just reading more about Wizard on their Wikipedia, and they just seem really weird. It's quite funny. Their first album was called Wizard Brew.
Nice.
And was released the same year as I Wish This Could Be Christmas. So I want to see. Oh my god! Oh no, that was that on the original album? No.
You're just going down a rabbit hole live on air. Shall I do a Christmas quiz sting?
Ooh, should I try and make some Jingle Bell sounds in the background?
Go on.
How would I do that?
I don't know how you're going to do that.
Ching, 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 ching.
So close.
It's Christmas quiz time. Incredible. Yeah, that's it. We nailed it.
It's flawless.
So Ronan, I did stick to my word. I've gone back through all of our previous episodes
Wow.
and counted up the scores.
Wow. Okay.
How are you doing?
Well, it was going really well. We were really close for a while. I was actually in the lead up until episode 7.
Oh,
Oh
damn.
wow.
And then since then, Ronan is now a solid 4.5 points ahead of me.
Ooh.
Since we started having guests on, basically. I've basically been fucked over by the guests. So, Ronan, you're actually on 20 points, and I'm on 15.5.
Ooh, okay.
I need to make some big plays today. No
I
pressure.
was going to ask how you're going to do it, but I think that answers it. But as in, so you've counted each individual question, have you, rather than who was the winner of an episode, so to speak?
Yeah, so every time we got a point correct, that's how I've done it. I haven't included any points you scored from the Kendrick quiz because I wasn't involved, because it was you versus Tom. But
Sure.
you only scored one on that anyway, so you know.
I feel
I
done
was like,
over there,
if it was
but okay.
closer. Well, you said on the day that you were happy to accept it not counting, but
Oh,
if
bugger.
you're really upset about it, I can give you that extra point
No.
back. But the fact that you're already 4.5 points clear.
Yeah, I want to get clearer.
James has just popped to the toilet, by the way.
Okay. I'm very impressed that you actually did that. That must have taken, did that take quite a while?
It wasn't too bad because I did it while I was cooking yesterday. So while I was doing the prep, because I was making 2 chilies. So while I was doing all the prep work, I was going through the episodes and I was just jumping to the quiz bits.
Yeah.
Using the
Your time
very handy timestamps that are in the descriptions of every episode. Jumping to the quiz bit and then just listening through that bit. And it was interesting going back because I don't really listen once it's kind of out. I've obviously been listening and re-listening to it through all the editing process. So I'm like, I don't want to listen to it again. But it was interesting going back and noticing, the quality of audio genuinely definitely improves. And also, like, I feel like the quality of the conversation improves as well. Like,
Interesting.
it feels like we get a little bit more kind of into the flow of it. And also just revisiting the ones with guests and being like, these are really enjoyable. I was like enjoying listening back to our own content, which I think is a good sign. Either that or it's like, either that I'm just a massive narcissist. But like,
You're like, God, I love the sound of my own voice. This is
it was definitely not that.
I need to talk more.
I was like, I'm very much over my own voice, but it's very funny listening to all these little interactions happen back again, and just remembering just how good everyone's been this year, like how everyone's been a good sport coming on, and then just like I feel like everyone really took it in their stride. So yeah. It was just like a nice little reminisce, I guess.
Oh, that's a good way to round off. We've been doing this for about half a year, haven't we? So it's
yeah, which is also crazy. Like going back and listening to it and remembering where I was, like what we were doing when we recorded. Like when we recorded, I think it might have been like the 2nd or 3rd episode, and it was the summer heat wave, which feels so far away now because it's been freezing.
Yeah, it does.
But we were there like barely able to string sentences together because it was so hot.
Oh yeah.
And your audio quality is not great because like your window's open, so it's. But it's like there's no way we could have recorded it without windows open because it was just outrageously hot. Yeah.
But that was the heat wave where me and you were laughing about. No, it's not even that bad, Sam. Like, what are you moaning about? And it was just because we were sat in air-conditioned offices all day.
Offices,
and
yeah.
Sam was just being in like a crammed uni library with poor aircon and thousands of students sat revising. And it's just like, what are you on about, Sam? It's absolutely glorious, mate.
Chilling.
Fine. I love the hot weather. And then in the commute home in my tiny little shit car, it was like, fucking hell, Sam's right, this is awful. Should we crack on with the quiz?
Crack on. So you and Flora put this together.
Well, yeah, me and Flora had a
Is this in memory of Flora? This dedicated. This one goes out to you, Flora, if you're listening.
So we've tried like making it a little bit Christmassy to keep it on theme, and then we've also asked a few questions in there that aren't Christmassy.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting. Oh, okay. No, I'll wait to find out.
Yeah, you'll see. So one of them's like a Christmas song, but none of the clues are Christmassy.
Interesting.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Right. So start us off on theme. Which artist has the most Christmas #1 singles?
Ooh. Michael Bublé.
Oh, it's a good guess, but no.
Oh.
Are we doing one answer per like one answer?
Yeah,
each?
I'll wait. I'll wait now.
Yeah, so I guess wait until we both give our answer. And
Yeah.
But then both
You,
can
you
chime
guys
in
need to
again.
get some buzzers.
we
We
do.
really do.
Oh,
Yeah,
if I had it in the
yeah.
secret Santa, I'd have got you 2 buzzers, just like.
Is there not
Yeah,
like a
every
buzzer? There should be a buzzer plugin on Discord. I bet that's a thing.
I bet there
Yeah.
definitely will be. We'll look into that for the new year. When we're
New
gonna
Year's
come
resolution.
back. It's gonna be a new year, whole new thing. Artists who's had them.
I just
What?
googled University Challenge buzzers and accidentally put a Y in before the U, so it says by uzzers. So it's like only one letter off. Google's just immediately leapt to University Challenge brazzers. It's like, ooh, not quite what I'm after, Google, but good effort for trying.
Most Christmas number ones from an artist.
Mhm.
Was that the question?
Yeah. Which artist has the most Christmas number ones?
As in, like, their
UK
song
Christmas
has been number one the most, or
they've-
has
they've just
literally
got-
released.
They've got the most.
Who's released more than one Christmas song?
Well, they don't even necessarily have to be Christmassy songs, do they? Just a song number
Oh,
one. at
God. Oh my God. Songs number one. At
If you just
Christmas.
go with someone huge, you've got a good, an artist that's huge, you've got a good chance.
Adele.
It was the Beatles.
Oh, fuck's sake.
So the follow up to that, round 2 here.
Mm.
What is, according to Google, the world's largest beetle?
Buzz.
Over to Louis.
Is it the rhino beetle?
Ooh, it's a good guess, but not according to the website we clicked on.
Oh, fuck.
That was up there in the top 3 though.
No.
I know very little about beetles, so I want to say the stag beetle. I don't know.
I'm afraid not. It was in fact the Hercules beetle, according to our website, or at least it's the
Wow.
longest. It had never really crossed my mind, but apparently there's lots of different ways of measuring beetles.
Yeah.
Weight,
Beetle
Length, weight, like
Mm.
strength. It's just like, God, who are all these people testing beetles?
I'm not feeling great that I'm on 0, but I'm also feeling better that Ronan's still on 0 as well. I can't. This lead is
Oh my God! Have you guys looked at
Uncomfortable.
photos of them? Have you looked
Yeah.
at photos? Of,
Hercules beetle. Oh, no, I'll
Oh
have
my
a quick
God!
look.
Yeah. Obviously
They
Hercules.
it's not
look
that
pretty
interesting.
nasty.
Oh, they're huge.
Oh,
I saw on Google 19 centimeters long, and I didn't really clock
Jesus.
how big 19 centimeters was until I saw a
That's
picture of it in someone's hand, and it's like,
horrific.
oh my God, that is
They're like-
huge.
they're like movie props. Like
Yeah.
they're like what you put in like a horror movie.
Yeah, they're not insects. Like you say beetle, you think insect.
Yeah, it's like an armored mouse,
Oh my God, yeah, literally.
an armored rat.
Yeah. Right. Sorry. Yeah,
No,
that's not interesting podcast content anyway. That's
Moving on to question 3, still on the Beatles theme. So originally it was meant to be 3 rounds, and each round was going to be like all themed on the same, like the first question of that round. But
Yeah.
then we started really struggling with some of the later rounds, so it just kind of morphed into the first third's just Beatles, and after that it's back to normal. What is the name of the original pub the Beatles played in? This is also Flora's trivia knowledge. So if this is actually incorrect, please don't chastise me.
Okay, so this is citation needed.
Yeah.
The pub that
Actually-
they originally played in.
The docks. I don't know. The dock and
No.
anchor.
It's not a bad guess for Liverpool.
Yeah.
The I'll just go with a similar theme. The shipyard,
It was the Cavern.
the cavern.
Yeah.
Oh man,
News to me, I'd never knew that.
never. Yeah, I didn't know
I
that
think-
that was even a thing. I have no Beatles trivia
I
knowledge.
think I might have known that actually. I mean, clearly I didn't know it, but I feel like deep down in there, which is almost more annoying. But
Oh, do we lose our license to do a music podcast if we know no Beatles trivia whatsoever?
Probably. to be fair. But, they were a bunch of weirdos.
From
They actually were
Liverpool.
so weird.
Well, the Beatles.
Yeah.
What is this?
What? Why were the Beatles weird?
Yeah.
Oh, they did all sorts of weird shit, mate.
Do you have some Beatles gossip?
There's
Silver tea.
I want to try and find what's he called? Paul McCartney.
Didn't they all once sit in a circle masturbating together or
They
something?
did in a dark room,
No.
and they
What?
were all discussing like people that they were thinking of, so like famous actresses and stuff. So they were all sitting in a group, like, you know, doing their own personal business, but sat in a dark circle together. And Paul McCartney's government were just there. Oh, Bridget Bardot, woo! And then everyone would thrash a bit more. And then at one point, John just sort of said, "Winston Churchill." Oh,
You ruined it.
ruined it. It's just
Merry Christmas, everybody.
yeah. Merry Christmas, yeah.
Oh, that's not an
And then Paul McCartney afterwards just like, I think it was a one-off or maybe just a two-off. It wasn't a big thing, but you know, it's just the kind of thing you didn't think much of.
Once or twice.
Yeah, it was just a good bit of harmless fun. It didn't hurt anyone, not even Bridget Bardot. It's just like, all right, Paul.
Jesus.
A bit weird. Or just going on their like hippie adventure to India where they started using a sitar all the time and just
Oh
doing
yeah,
shitloads
but
of,
that's
like,
harmless, weird stuff. That's
Oh, yeah,
I guess
yeah.
the masturbating is sort of harmless as well, but it was weirder. But I mean, you can't knock it, I guess.
You can't knock it to
You're going to be
each
like, you can't make art without sitting in a circle with your mates masturbating.
Oh, I guess I'll never be an
Got to
artist.
push those boundaries.
Got a question for
Moving swiftly on to question 4. This one's a bit of a riddle. We've mentioned it today.
Ooh.
The riddle is a short story of New Amsterdam. A short story of New Amsterdam.
Ding, a Fairytale of New York.
Yep. Ring, ding, ding, ding. We have our first point of the evening.
Yeah! I'm off to the races.
You're off. Your next question is: you're looking for the title of a Christmas song here, and there's 3 clues. The first clue, the song. So none of these are Christmas-related clues, by the way.
Good.
The song was released the year Gandhi was assassinated. The song was released the year Gandhi was assassinated.
Right. I need to take Sophie's advice and open my mind palace, my mind calendar.
Mind
Zoom out. Zoom out. Scroll
How
left.
far left is it?
That's the thing. I literally have no idea how far left it is.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to get it from that first.
The next clue is 2 words to describe Queen Elizabeth's Christmas 2021. 2 words to describe Queen Elizabeth's Christmas.
I thought you were going to say 2022 and something like dead and buried. I don't know. Where are we going with this?
Well, you're not a million miles away, Louis. But you know, can't give any more clues than that.
It was a Christmas #1, was it?
No, it wasn't.
It's just
But it's a Christmas song.
It's a very famous Christmas song, though. It was hard pressed to not hit #1. And the final clue that should give it away a little bit more is the band have a name with a very popular sweet invented by McCowan. The band is the same name as a very popular
Wham.
sweet. That is the band, but what's the song?
Bollocks.
Why is that song escaping from me?
2 words to describe Queen Elizabeth's Christmas 21. And it was released the year Gandhi was assassinated.
Oh no! I feel like I was literally
Last
thinking...
Christmas! Last
Yeah.
Christmas!
It is Last Christmas by Wham. And the Gandhi one,
Amazing.
see, is like way out of field. It's like so random.
Yeah.
And we were literally Googling like really famous events in 1984. And they were just all morbid. It was just like Gandhi's assassinated. You know, one of them was the fucking Challenger rocket ship blows up and disintegrates, killing all on board.
God.
And it's just like, oh, you lovely. How Christmassy.
I did not realize Gandhi died so late on. I thought he died a lot earlier for some reason, like in the 50s or something.
Yeah,
when
like
he was,
40 years on from
killed.
liberation is like a good old.
Wow.
It also points out to me though how young he must have been when he was doing a lot of his a lot of the work to liberate India.
Yeah.
Like he must have
crazy.
been only in his like 30s or 40s.
That's one to look up after. Actually, I was about to go on a Gandhi deep dive.
It's been a good episode for deep dives.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, guys. Let me bloody rewind. That is completely wrong. He was assassinated in 1948.
What?
Oh,
Like,
no.
did we find that on 1984 eventful things? I'll probably even track that.
So it's the 8 and the 4 were the wrong way around.
Probably. Yeah, probably. To be fair. Oh no. Hey, what can you do? What can you do? Eh?
What can you do?
That's
It's all right because neither of us got it. We'd have never got it from that
no,
clue anyway.
no.
So
I was right, but wrong. So the Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated. So not Mahatma Gandhi. It was somebody else. So I was technically right. Yeah,
84.
Gandhi was assassinated in 1984. Just a completely
He
different
was?
person. To who we all
Just a
think.
completely
yeah,
different Gandhi.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
But he was still the Prime Minister of India at the time, so still pretty.
What,
Yeah.
what a roller coaster that actually. Just found out Gandhi's dead. I mean, can I
Moving on to the next one is can you name the 2 members of Wham for 2 points?
No.
Oh fuck! I can name one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who the other one is.
Yeah, everyone can name one of them.
Wait, did you say it was for 1 point named both of them?
2
Or
points,
1
1 point
per-
per name.
I can't name
Can
any
I-
of them.
George Michael.
1 point.
Oh, is it?
Correct.
I'll take a point where I can get it. And Michael George.
It's a good effort, but no, it was Andrew Ridgeley. Andrew Ridgeley. I'd
Literally
never heard of him.
heard that name before in my life.
I also didn't realise that Wham was only a duet. I thought it was quite a big band. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
didn't
really
realise
get
that.
why they broke up and George Michael.
No, I thought it was a solo act. So
Oh, we're all so out of touch for a music podcast, aren't we? But on the George Michael theme, the next question. In 1984, George Michael had a very Wham accident. For 1 point, what happened?
Car crash.
Correct.
Oh no.
Oh,
For 2 points, well, for 1 extra point,
Mhm.
what did he crash into? And can
tree.
you name it? No,
Oh.
not a tree.
Did he crash into a? Can you name it? It implies
Yeah.
like. The thing is, that I have no clue whatsoever, so I'm just gonna pluck something else. He crashed into the HMS Victoria. A boat.
No, terrible guess. He crashed into a camera shop called Snappy Snaps, and there's a picture of him stumbling out of the car, clearly having, drink driving.
Mm.
And he's stumbling out of his car, and the owner of the shop's just grabbed a picture of him outside Snappy Snaps with his car hanging out the front.
Incredible.
And then someone scratched into the bloody side of the shop after it had all been smashed up before it was fixed. They just put Wham, just like an arrow pointing to the fucking accident. Back onto the final question, which is a double pointer again. And this is back on the Christmas theme. How many gifts are there in total in the 12 days of Christmas?
Oh fuck!
You know what? I literally just
Oh my
had
god!
this the other
This
day,
is a
and now I
classic.
can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to use calculators as long as we're not like?
Yeah, you can do if you want. I'm not going to be your primary school teacher, Ronan, and go, you'll never be carrying a calculator around with you. You'll have to do all of this mentally.
I'm gonna get it.
I was having a laugh with someone at work the other day because his wife's a maths teacher and he's been doing long division with his kid after school. And his wife was like, oh, can you help them with the homework today? And he was like, yeah, okay, no worries. And he was coming to do long multiplication with his primary school kid. And he was just like, I have no idea how to do long multiplication. And then he was just like, but why are they doing long multiplication? It's so pointless. And then his wife was like, well, you need to do stuff like this. What do you do at work when you have to, work stuff out? And he was like, well, I use a calculator or Excel. And he's like, I'm a senior director.
Yeah, I don't have time to do long division.
Yeah, I don't need to do long multiplication or long division.
I think I
don't
have
the
an
time.
answer, but I think I have like the wrong answer because I have a feeling that it's like not a trick question, but it's like not. I'm gonna let Ronan go first.
No, you've beaten me to it. You should get it before I was typing mine out wrong. So you've actually.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're gonna have to go first, Hillary. As someone with more points. This
But I'm
is
not
Ronan's
overall. I'm
level of
behind
skill.
on points. I need this. I'm gonna say there's 78.
Oh, okay.
Not a bad
I'm gonna
guess,
go. I'm gonna
Ronan.
go higher than that. Just bear with. A few more seconds. I am going
And
to go
carry the
for
two.
No, I've remembered what I've done wrong.
364.
I know what I've done wrong.
364.
It is 364. Well done,
364.
Ronan.
What do you mean it was a good
Yes.
guess? It was a garbage guess. Somebody
Yeah, it was.
terrible
I had
guess.
to make you feel better.
No, I know what I
I
did
did
wrong.
exactly the same thing as you, Louis. I did exactly the same thing as you, which is why I was panicking and desperately trying to go through and update it.
At least you realised before saying an embarrassing answer out loud. And I just, I just steamed right ahead.
If you'd like to know, it's 12 partridges, 22 turtle doves, 30 French hens, 36 column birds, 40 gold rings, 42 geese laying eggs, 42 swans, 40 milking
I
maids.
forgot that it was like a recurring,
Yeah,
what do they call it? It begins with a C, maybe? There's a word. Compound.
Yeah.
Compounding.
The thing is, there should be like a formula, I think. I
A
just can't remember
factorial.
What? Is that how it is?
Is it a factorial? God, hopefully Becky doesn't listen to this. It was an absolute rinsing.
So is that Ronan with a point there? Or with 2?
It is.
Oh, God.
Well done, Ronan. Wait, it can't be a factorial because factorials are multiplication. I just Googled it. Sorry, Becky. But that concludes my Christmas quiz.
Fuck.
So at 2 points apiece.
I got 3, actually. I got 3
Oh, sorry.
points.
Ronan, you're shit. It's 3-2 to Louis. Well done,
The
Louis.
issue is, I might have won
Actually,
this round, but
You may have
overall,
lost the battle, but the war has just begun.
Ronan is maintaining a 3.5 point lead currently.
That is healthy.
That is a healthy. So we end the year with Ronan in pole position.
Are we starting it afresh though? Should we be starting afresh?
Is that how you want to
Yeah,
play it? Do you
is
want
it
to
just
claim
rolling?
2022? Is that a Ronan victory?
I don't.
And then we
It was
I don't
only
mind
half
it, like-
season, though, you know?
We can see how I get on at the beginning.
We can see how you get on.
on.
Wait, when did the podcast start? June?
Thinks.
Yeah, thereabouts.
I think it should be a round year, you know, June to June. That's a good season.
Yeah. And then it runs
Yeah,
like a
interesting,
sports
yeah.
season at that point, to be fair.
Sure. Okay.
End of.
We'll do it like a sports season.
Yeah.
You know, you can have your quiz transfer season, you know, meet new signings and whatnot.
Mm. Our first episode was recorded on the 20th of June. Yeah.
Oh wow, nearly 6 months to the day.
Yeah.
Would you say it's been a good first half year into the podcast? Feel like you've been growing into it?
I've really enjoyed doing it. Yeah.
It's been good fun, and that's what you were just saying, Louis. That listening back to it a bit to count up the scores, you could kind of hear it developing as it went,
Yeah.
which is kind of
Naturally
interesting.
coming together. Like even the idea of the quiz, because you just basically unprompted brought up, you were just going to give facts about first ladies of the United States, which turned into a
in
quiz.
the form of a quiz.
And I just loved that so
Yeah.
much that it was just like an unrelated quiz that I was like, we're going to have to run with this as like a theme. And then all the guests have been like on board with it.
Who was there? Oh, it would have still been Joe Biden's wife, wouldn't it? Would have been first lady then.
Yeah, at the time.
It
Yeah.
wasn't Melania Trump.
Yeah, shit. I actually don't know who Joe Biden's wife is. Does she like play a role on the? Cool.
Is she still alive? We'll start with that one.
Yeah.
Jill? Is it Jill?
So
Jill
look,
Biden?
Jill Biden sounds about right. It is, but she was the one who. Oh no, Nelia was the one who died.
Ah.
Nelia Hunter died.
Oh yeah, in the car
In
crash.
72. Then he married Jill in 77.
We started our
That's
podcast.
what Biden and Wham have in common.
Yeah, I should have asked that one. What did Joe? Well, Joe wasn't actually in the car at the time.
Anyway, that's deeply insensitive, so I immediately regret it.
Hey, we started the podcast with First Lady Facts. We'll finish the podcast with First Lady Facts. But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun doing it this year, and thank you very much for joining me to do it, Ronan. Couldn't ask for a better co-host.
Oh yeah, well, thank you for really just spearheading all of it and having me along for the ride. It's been a lot of fun.
We've got some interesting ideas for next year, hopefully, to kind of look into. Hopefully, get a few more guests, and yeah, see if we can build on something.
We're becoming
going forward.
business-minded.
Yeah,
Business-minded.
to the extent of where we can find the time to do it.
Hustle, grind.
Got to get that
expands.
grind set going. Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for that Christmas quiz, James, and thanks for joining us for the
No problem.
Christmas
No,
episode.
it's been good coming on.
Yeah, it's been good fun. And sorry, Flora, if you're listening, we missed you. We'll get you on again next. We'll get you on at some point next year, hopefully. Either a regular episode, or you can return. You and James can return for the Christmas one next year as well.
The annual show.
Yeah, the annual show.
They do it twice in its tradition.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all very much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year. Be good, treat yourselves, and be good to your friends and family, and just have a lovely time. You can contact us on Instagram or our email address, moreofsomething-else-entirely@gmail.com. We upload to Spotify, Apple, all the usual good places. We're also on YouTube and on SoundCloud, and I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, stay safe, have a good Christmas, and we'll catch you in the new year.
Bye bye.
The communists have nothing to offer but fat cheeks and eyeglasses and lying policemen. And the capitalists proffer napalm and money in green suitcases to the naked. And the communists create heavy industry. But the heart is also heavy.